Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back once again to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, and it's a very important week for me here because we're currently heading for our second anniversary of the show, and in that time we're going to have notched up an incredible 300 episodes recorded, so many interviews, so many lessons learned. And I've learned so much in that time, and I hope that you people listening have learned a few things along the way too. In fact, for the 300th episode, I'd like to hear your voices and your thoughts about everything that we've talked about in the last 2 years. So I challenge you all to take your smartphone out of your pocket and record just a few words through, iMessage or WhatsApp or any app that lets you record your voice, and just send me a clip, 10 to 15 seconds long. And let's see how many voices from around the world we can get on episode 300. Very often I record this show in a room on my own. It's very hard to believe that there's 150 countries listening out there. So let's see what we can get for episode 300. So all you need to do is record a 10 to 15 second greeting. Let's just say happy birthday to Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I like the show because, or I don't like the show because, and send over to techblogwriter@outlook.com. But enough of me, because we got a great guest on the show tonight from TechSmith. Now, to most of you listening, you'll probably know TechSmith as the guys that help you communicate more effectively with shareable images and videos. Now, they make very popular solutions, which I'm sure you know about, called Snagit, Camtasia, and Coach's Eye, to name but a few. So I invited Wendy Hamilton, now she's the Chief Executive Officer at TechSmith, onto the show, because I wanted to learn more about the importance of video, visual communications, and how communication is shifting to video now. So for anyone wanting to learn more about the visual communication space, buckle up and hold on tight, because I want to beam your ears all the way to Michigan so we can speak with Wendy Hamilton, the CEO at TechSmith. So a big warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Wendy Hamilton. I'm President and CEO of TechSmith. I'm relatively new in my role. I transplanted from Philadelphia to Lansing to take over my father's company and get back to my technology roots.
My understanding is that TechSmith Corporation provides practical business and academic software products that can dramatically change how people communicate and collaborate with each other. But for anyone listening to the show now who is hearing about TechSmith for the very first time, can you introduce them to exactly what services you offer and what makes TechSmith unique from everything else out there?
Sure. TechSmith is a mid-sized technology company. We provide software tools so anyone can create how-to videos, e-learning videos, and professional-looking screenshots and screencasts. Now, our sweet spot is really professional-looking output with a high ease of use for the creator. What's unique about us, we're very well established. We've been around in this field for almost 30 years now and have about 30 million customers. We're the market leader in screen capture solutions and have all the Fortune 500 as clients and most of the top higher ed as well. And another thing to know about us is our demographics. We're about 50% of our staff is millennials, which we think is important because this is really the generation driving and advocating for the use of video in business and education.
That's so refreshing as well, isn't it, for a company that's 30 years old? I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual. It's just part of our culture and our focus on innovation and technology. We tend to hire a lot out of Michigan State University and other universities and really keep a fresh view on the future.
And another thing I love about what you guys are doing there is TechSmith seems to enable users to work more effectively wherever they may be, and also ensures that the process of creating, sharing and collaborating around content is simple, intuitive. So essentially I think it actually helps others learn from their knowledge. But can you tell me exactly how do you do this, and do you have any use cases to help your listeners visualize exactly how it works?
Sure. Well, first, I absolutely agree with you about the importance of visual communication. The human brain processes visual about 60,000 times faster than text. About 40% of our nerve fibers are connected directly to our retina. And we really focus on informational and educational content. So this importance of visual media and learning is really incredibly important for us. But there are a lot of barriers in corporates and educational institutes for just making it happen. And one of the barriers is just ease of creation. We don't make products for professional videographers. We make products for the everyday subject matter expert who might be a little bit afraid of video. So all of our products really focus on onboarding of the product, ease of use, available live support and training, and that's how we get people up to speed. So our primary user is that everyday subject matter expert who's informing or educating. It could be an employee who's trying to share their knowledge with a coworker about how to use a complex financial worksheet. It could be somebody like you and me sharing their knowledge via a YouTube video. Education, so teachers capturing videos for flipped classroom type scenarios is a big use for us as well. But our single biggest market is software onboarding. So software trainers or tech support employees trying to help educate others on how software works.
Fantastic. I also think as well in this gig economy now, I think we're all expected to have so many skills and juggle so many different roles, whether that be having your own podcast, writing articles, creating videos, marketing. We're all expected to perform so many roles and spin so many different plates, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason we can do that somewhat is because of the availability of information and education free on the internet. A lot of that is via these YouTube videos that our software helps create.
Now, I also believe that TechSmith, and I think it's Matrox, recently announced the TechSmith Relay and Monarch LCS integration. I mean, can you tell me more about that? Because it sounds like an exciting collaboration.
Sure. As I mentioned, a lot of our business is with educational institutions, higher ed. We provide software for online lecture capture. So educators who are wanting to record the classroom via their screen or via their digital blackboard or Wacom tablet, use our software to create videos out of that. But we do not provide hardware for lecture capture, for scheduling a classroom with a video that, video camera that turns on and off, and other types of mechanisms. So this partnership really helps our customers and their customers have a more complete solution.
Now, wasn't TechSmith recognised as one of the 20 most promising Azure solution providers by CIO Review recently? I mean, that's got to be a huge nod of recognition in the right direction, that you're doing the right thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're very fortunate to be in the industry that we're in. There's a huge explosion of the use of video and visuals for information sharing, and that's absolutely our niche.
Now, I also believe that TechSmith is sponsoring the Virtual Summit, and there are a number of free webinars which will probably be of huge interest to creatives listening to the show today. So can you tell me a little bit more about that summit, what it's about, and how anyone listening can get involved with those webinars?
Well, I'll have to give you the URL handy, URL right after this so everyone has access to it. But what's important to understand is we're committed to train and enable everybody, to communicate visually. So we have teamed up to provide a series of educational sessions to help people get comfortable in creating the best video possible.
Excellent. Now, there's also a lot of talk this year around the digital transformation of almost everything, and video is becoming increasingly important. So are you noticing any significant trends, and are you finding that this increase in adoption is sending more business your way?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of trends around this. One is just increased awareness of the importance of video and the usefulness of it. There's a little bit of a generational gap in some corporates. I can speak to that from personal experience. There's this sort of new generation that grew up with YouTube and grew up with video and visual communication, and an older generation that might be making more decisions on corporate infrastructure and communication approaches that isn't as caught up yet to those demands and expectations. So that's starting to change. Some of it's forced because of the increased use of remote workers, whether that's just general remote employee policies or onboarding or offshoring. Visuals is really important to communicate in those sort of different time, different place scenarios.
It's funny you mention that generation gap there, because that's something that I see a lot as well. And we can introduce so many great technology solutions, but if you can't change the culture, then nothing will actually change. So how are you noticing companies actually embed that culture change and bringing people on the journey rather than making them feel afraid or outside of it?
It's a really good question. I think every company is a little different and have a little bit different journey. For us, a lot of our corporate customers really came to us from individual employees who were evangelists, right? They downloaded software off the website, started using it at home, then started using it at work and spread the word. This is really what I see of the momentum. It's been very grassroots from employees themselves. But eventually, I think very savvy executives who are worried about inspiring all their staff, especially the millennial generation, have adopted more visual techniques and video blogs and video communication for employee communication. The other thing that we see happening is where video has very strong stakeholders, like in marketing for marketing campaigns or in corporate training for software onboarding. That infrastructure that's been brought in for, say, video marketing or software training, online video platforms, then starts to spread through the whole company. So people start storing internal training videos in their marketing video platform, or they start storing almost kind of disposable quick communication content in their corporate systems. So it's slowly taking over.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think one thing that all generations have in common now is if something goes wrong with your car, your fridge, or even your oven, you don't go for the manual. You go straight online and look on YouTube for a video on how to fix it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I've heard you, Neil, in a prior discussion talk about these 200-page manuals and with a few pictures. So it's actually one of our products, Snagit, that probably created the few pictures in that text document, and partly what we're doing is evolving that customer base to use more animated gifs as part of Snagit and use more video as part of Snagit. So instead of having to read 3 paragraphs to figure out why that image is there, you can actually see a moving image. So these are the stepping stones our customers are starting to take to evolve.
You've kind of answered my next question there, but I was going to say, in your opinion, what is the best way to capture video or use video in a corporate environment, and how TechSmith products are making it easier? So I'm guessing you're going to say Snagit, right?
Well, we have two products, and actually a lot of our customers have them both. We have Snagit, which is a screen capture, screenshot editing, and a very lightweight screen recorder. And then Camtasia is a powerful screen recorder and also a video editor. So it's for a little bit more advanced users. So there are a lot of use cases. So the most common use case by employee number is very simple technical visual communication. So instead of explaining what is going wrong with my computer or where to go in that new corporate application that was just rolled out via words and a dozen emails, people can create that animated GIF or at least an annotated screenshot and send it to their coworker to improve that communication. And then the higher end use of our software tends to be in software onboarding, so corporate training either for internal employees or for the company's customers if they're selling software products.
So the digital landscape is constantly evolving. So I've got to ask, especially because you have such a large millennial workforce as well, is what's next on the horizon for TechSmith? I mean, is there anything you can share with us that's coming this way in the next 18 months?
Yeah, there are a few things I can share at high level. One, I mentioned that TechSmith primarily is focused on software onboarding and lecture capture. One area we've been seeing more use in is tech marketing as well. It used to be that, software was sold with these relatively black box software interfaces and a lot of whining and dining from salespeople. And now there's a much more transparent process that's sort of taking over the world of software sales. So software marketers are becoming a lot more like software trainers, where they're going to kind of full exposure and transparency mechanisms to share what their product does. So we're seeing a lot more use cases from tech marketing groups, and we're growing our content and functionality and partnerships and integrations to support that user base. The other thing we're doing that's pretty big, and hopefully I can come back and talk about it sometime, is we're launching a much larger suite as an add-on to those two desktop products, both a cloud and a mobile suite. So really trying to solve the bigger problems our customers have around visual communication in corporates.
Oh, you left me with a teaser trailer there, so you've got to come back on now in a few months.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
Now, before I let you go, can you point the listeners in the right direction of the TechSmith website, Twitter feed, and those webinar URLs that we talked about earlier, and also let them know how they can contact a member of your team if they have any questions about our conversation today?
Sure, absolutely. Well, our URL is www.techsmith.com. You can contact us via information on our website or via Twitter, which is at TechSmith on Twitter.
Fantastic. Well, a huge thank you for coming on the show today. I love the fact that you've got this refreshing approach as a 30-year-old company with such a heavy millennial influence, especially in these digital times now. I think it's so important. And I love what you're doing. And you've left me a teaser there, so you are going to have to come on in a few months to tell me about it. I'll make you promise me that. But more than anything, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us, Neil.
I think Wendy made so many great points there about visual communication in the workplace, and we need to remember how much it resonates with millennials. And we did make a big deal there mentioning that, this is a 30-year-old company that's got a huge millennial workforce, and I think that's so important. The digital transformation is helping the shift towards video, make no mistake. And even LinkedIn this week introduced the feature by adding videos to their mobile app, which again illustrates the level of this shift and how we all need to get on board with it. Snagit, Camtasia and Coach's Eye are very popular tools, and for very good reason. And what I love about them is they're not aimed at pros only. Sometimes a guy like myself, who's a podcast guy, who has to make videos, who has to market himself, who has to write and juggle lots of different platforms, I just want something that's intuitive. And isn't that the same for everything now? Because everything we buy is through one click or one swipe. We can even get a cab outside our home within a swipe of our phone. So why shouldn't software be the same? And for those reasons, I cannot thank Wendy enough for coming on the show today. But as always, let me know your thoughts by emailing me at techblogwriter@outlook.com or tweeting me at Neil C. Hughes. And also, don't forget that I challenge you all to take out this smartphone out of your pocket and record a few words through iMessage, WhatsApp, or anything that lets you record your voice, and send me a 10 to 15 second clip. Let's see how many voices around the world we can get on episode 300. And again, send those short clips over to techblogwriter@outlook.com. But we have a whole week of great guests lined up, so all that's left for me to say is a thanks for listening to the show, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.